Hello, everybody. Hi, I just want to welcome you all to our seminar this afternoon. I'm Zella Compton. I am the editor of Marine Industry News, and I'm really delighted to welcome you to this session with Marine Industry News, GMBA and PSP Logistics. It's our first collaborative online seminar, and it's Export Insights France. So I'm the editor of Marine Industry News, as I said. I've been doing that for just over a year, and I have enjoyed watching it go from strength to strength. We like to think we have the best mix of stories in the market, and that's what makes sessions like this so possible, the ability to mix it up and be flexible with our content. We're really delighted that we're working on this collaboration with GMBA, Global Marine Business Advisors. They're a group of global business advisors, as we can tell by their title, based in strategic markets, able to give in-depth and insightful advice for those looking to break into specific markets. So this is an intro session to breaking into France. And we've got a series of sessions lined up, but today, as I said, it's France. So welcome aboard, everybody. First of all, I just want to talk through a little bit of housekeeping. I think there's about 30 of us here, which is fantastic. We're going to record the online seminar and share it on our social media channels. So I'd like everybody to get ready for a screenshot in a minute, if you'd like to put your cameras on so we can kind of get a lovely image of us all together. While our speakers are talking, if you can use the chat function to ask any questions, and then I will ask those questions at the end of the session. Jean Gaigné will be talking for about 30 minutes. He's going to talk to us about the French boating market, as well as looking at the effects of Brexit and his predictions for the future. Okay, and if everybody's ready for the picture now would be a great time for that. If you could all just smile cheesily for about 5 seconds. That's fantastic. I'm hoping the IT guys got that sorted, which would be great. But first, before we hear from John, we're going to hear from our sponsor. And this is Shaun.Parsons, who's the director at PSP Logistics, and he's kindly sponsoring the event. He's going to give us a brief intro into the work PSP is doing and how his company is helping UK dealers export to France. After he's spoken, I'll come back in and then we'll go over to John. So Shaun, take it away.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. PSP Logistics, we're based on the South Coast. We're an international freight forwarder, and we're very pleased to be involved in this today. We also have a marine division that's looking after people that are moving boats to and from UK, and as well as marine spares and equipment. We've been assisting UK dealers with their French purchases of various models for when they arrive in UK for customs. Since Brexit, it's been a very complicated and different situation to what it was beforehand. And we've now got into a nice procedure with the help of the UK government, done a very good job and allowing the opportunity to bring yacht steel in without a month endorse the Mediterranean, and we take yachts to Nice. And we have, since the Brexit, we brought more yachts back than going to France because people are not able to use their yachts. But music, etc. So we're seeing these new, the likes of Sunseeker and Fairline and Princess are now moving to the Med, getting themselves positioned, hopefully for the shows that we hope to all be able to visit in the near future. So yes, I'm looking forward to what's being said today about France, and hopefully we can assist anyone that has problems at the moment.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Shaun. That was great. So thank you for that. And now we're going to hand over to John. Are you ready, John? Yeah. So don't forget, everybody.
Yes, I am.
Perfect.
I'm ready. Yes.
Good. So if anyone has any questions during the session, just pop them in the chat function and then we'll read them out at the end. So let's go.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for inviting me today to give you some insight regarding the French market. I will be talking on behalf of GMBA, as Zella said. We are 17 experts from the marine industry all over the world, from Australia to Asia, the US, South Africa, and all over Europe. And I'm very pleased, especially today, to greet my peer in UK, David Lewin. So I'm going to share my screen with a presentation giving you some figures regarding the French market. So let me do it. My screen, it seems to be all right. Okay.
That's great.
So as you know, France has a strong boating economy, and I will show you some figures to prove it. France is, as you know, of course, it's nearby your country, so you know France pretty well. So we are 67 million inhabitants, with a pretty wealthy country with a GDP per capita of $44 per head. We have 11 million occasional boating and water sports participants, and among them 4 million regular boating participants. We have 1 million windsurf, 2.5 million canoe and kayaks, 1.1 million surf and bodyboards, and the same for paddle boards. We have 740,000 motorboats registered, and 260,000 sailboats registered all over France, and 75 of these boats are below 6 meters. We also have 473 marinas and port facilities on the seashore. We have 8,500 kilometers of inland waterways, more than 35,000 registered boats on canals and rivers, and more than 1,000 nautical centers. So in a nutshell, this is the situation of boating in France. So the key figures of the industry. France is the world's largest sailing boat manufacturer, of course, with Beneteau Group especially, and the second world largest boat manufacturer. In 2019, we've produced 11,000 motorboats and 4,500 sailboats. We have more than 5,000 companies in the nautical sector, 43,000 employees, and more than 5 billion euro turnover. And a key point is that 76% of the production in France is exported. So, of course, the situation of the market is not so good, because the market has now recovered from the 28 financial crisis. And in 2019, the global turnover of the industry was 6% higher than 10 years ago. The situation was pretty good, with new boat sales, with a rise of more than 2% versus 2018. 81% are motorboats and 48% are below 6 meters. The used boat sales is very dynamic too, with a rise of 3% versus 2018. Again, with a huge proportion of motorboats versus, of course, sailing boats and small boats especially. And another very positive fact was the boating licenses delivered. Almost 100,000 boating licenses delivered in 2019. It was a rise of 9% versus 2018. So it's very positive, and it shows an interest for boating from new customers, because a boating license is needed in France for the motorboats, not for sailing boats, but for motorboats. You need to have a boating license. Of course, so as I said, the market is dynamic, but this was before the COVID-19. So what happened in 2020? The turnover of the nautical industry has decreased between 15 and 20 and 30%. And today we are in the fog, to be honest. Of course, we have we have some optimistic signals, but even if the 2020 boating season has been booming and very active all over the country, of course, we've suffered from the lockdown from March to May, the cancellation of the boat shows, and the travel restrictions across Europe and beyond. And today we still suffer again from a lockdown and many restrictions to this day, because we are in lockdown in France yet. And the most affected sectors in 2020 are the superyacht industry and overseas charter. Of course, it's easy to understand with travel bans and the difficulties to move that has led to a staycation, as you know, in France, like in UK. But a positive sign is the worrying trend initiated several years ago. Of course, we always say that the boat owners are aging every year. And last year, we have seen newcomers and new boaters coming, and it's a very positive fact. I will tell you a little bit about the market and the way to approach the market in France, because France is not, I would say, it's not a country with not a single approach, I would say. A little bit of geography. Of course, you have three different coasts and two different parts of France. First of all, of course, you have the Channel and the North Sea. So it's very close from UK. So this is an area that can be compared to British waters, with significant tides, changeable weather conditions, and often tidal constraints to access the marinas. On the Atlantic coast, we have famous sailing spots like La Rochelle, Lorient, La Trinité-sur-Mer, very famous. We have more manageable tides. We have pleasant weather conditions, and we have an easy access to most of the marinas, because most of the marinas on this coast, despite the tides, have no constraints of access. So more or less 24 hours access. And then we have the Med, of course, and the Med can be related to Italian market and Mediterranean countries. This is the so-called Club Med country. Of course, we have famous and coveted boating area. We don't have any tides. We have warm weather conditions, and we also have marinas hosting super yachts. That's why France could be split in two parts: the north part with what I call the North European behavior, and the south part, Club Med country. And it's not a single market, but you have different, of course, market segments and diverse consumer behavior. It means that you don't deal in the same way if you have to deal with people in the south of France or I would say in the north of France. A few examples of brands made in France. Of course, the boats I already mentioned. Beneteau Group, but Beneteau, Jeannot, Dufour, Pogo, Alubat, they are all well known. We also have multi-hulls with Fontaine Pajot, Lagoon, and Nautitech, boat equipment and fittings with Plastimo, Acmo, Wishart. Electronics, we are also famous with surfboards and windsurf and kite surfing with Big Sport. Big Sport is now Thai Outdoors, but this is the same brand now, with Oxbow, canoes with Thai Outdoors again, marina equipment with Poralu, Metalu, Atlantic Marine, super yachts with yachts like GFA, CNB, and of course sails, mast, rigging with the brands like Delta Voile, Incidence, Sparkcraft, and so on. We also provide services, and we have a strong charter activities. So we have charter companies. We have about 1,500 boats operated by charter companies, including, of course, overseas territories, which are very popular, like Caribbean, the French Antilles, and French Polynesia. It means that the charter business is 135 employees and 98 million euro turnover. The most famous companies are Dream Yacht Charter, Hexavoile, Team Winds, Philovent. We have refit boat yachts for super yachts. Monaco Marine is one of these on the Med, a famous one, but we have some others. We also have classic yachts, boat yachts, specialized in, of course, in wooden building like Chantier du Guip, a very famous one in Brittany for wooden boats, classic boats, of course, and also some tall ships. We have a strong activity on the canal and river with 1,500 boats and 90 charter bases on the rivers and canals in France, with companies like Le Boat, Locabot, and Nichols. And we also have famous yacht designers like Marc Lombard, VPLP, Guillaume Verdier, Finocon, Philippe Briand, Daniel Andrieux, and some others. France is a country of innovation in boating. I give you here some examples of very innovative products. We have Timo, the first solution for electro-portable propulsion. So it's not an oar nor a motor, but it's a new generation propulsion system that's perfect for the tenders. And this product has been awarded with the Dame Award in Amsterdam a few months ago. I also take the example of Inno Rope, which is a new mooring line system with textile fibers replacing the traditional chains. The famous Wattensee hydro generators that have been tested a few years ago on the Vendée Globe to produce electricity on board. And the Dock and Go by Beneteau, which is a system where you can use a pod with a joystick to easily maneuver when you want to get in your berth in the marinas, get in or get out, of course. So France is also famous for offshore sailing business. And I would say that the research and development is driven by the professional offshore sailing teams. So we have high-tech composite boat yachts, especially in the south of Brittany, producing maxi multi-hulls for the records all over the world. We have IMOCA with foils. And we have more than 200 professional sailing teams. Most of them are based in the south of Brittany, in the so-called Sailing Valley cluster around Lorient and south of Brittany, where we have a concentration of knowledge, which is fantastic. About the exposure. Just to give you an idea of the popularity of boating in France. So we have three main boat shows. Of course, Paris Boat Show, Cannes and La Rochelle, they were all cancelled in 2020, last year. But we have three main boat shows in France. Paris, Cannes and La Rochelle. Cannes and La Rochelle both in September, and Paris usually in December. But we have a fantastic media coverage, and that's why boating in France is so popular. Because I just take one example. You have a picture when this is the start of the Route du Rhum in Saint-Malo. You have more than 1.3 million visitors coming just to see the boats for the start. And the Vendée Globe, the last Vendée Globe has generated a dramatic media coverage because we had 193,000 TV reports just in France and 452 million pages viewed on the events website. We also have a rich offer of boating press. Of course, the circulation of the boating press is dropping, while, of course, dedicated websites are ever more successful. You have a few examples of the famous French magazines here. So now, after what I said about the segmentation of the market, I want to give you some hints and tips to successfully sell in France. First of all, I would say have at least a technical sheet in French language. Of course, the buyers from the main company are at ease with English, but this is not the case with everyone in France, and French people is often reluctant to make an effort of understanding if you don't speak French. So it means, of course, that if you want to sell products to Beneteau or Jeannot, of course, buyers, they speak English. But if you want to convince someone to buy your product and try to deal with a small company, with a small boatyard, most of the time, the boatyard owner won't make the effort to understand you, or so it's very important to have a technical sheet in French, or of course have a local agent if you can't do that by yourself. The second thing, this is related to what I said regarding the segmentation of the country between North and South. If you have a rep in Belgium or in Germany who speaks French, it's no problem anywhere in the country, because these people are considered as serious people, I would say. But if your sales agent is based in Italy or Spain, that would be perfect to make business to the south, but it would be probably harder to deal with someone in northern France, because Mediterranean people are often considered somewhat less dependable. Of course, it's not true, because there are many serious people and serious retailers and companies in the south of France, but this is an image. And sometimes it's difficult to get rid of such a traditional reputation. Then, if you sell marina equipment, I mean pontoons, pedestals, accessories, remember that most of the marinas in France are operated by public companies. Therefore, you may have to go through the process of a French or a European public tender invitation. This is something very important, because most of the marinas in France are operated by public companies, and they have to deal through public tender invitations. So even if you spend time to place your product, to try to convince your potential customer, you'll have to go through a competitive tender. Last but not least, I would say, even if France is a leading country in the boating business, remember that there are many segments and niche markets where there are few, even no French manufacturer. I just take a few examples, but there are, of course, many more. Outboard engines, electric engines, inboard engines. In France, we don't produce marine engines, or very few. Winches, marine electronics, autopilots, trav lifts for the marinas. So it's just an example, but there are many segments where the French are not so well positioned. So that's why I say that the French battlefield is open to stimulating competition. Sorry. Now, I just want to say or to have a view on the Brexit. The question is Brexit a real threat for the nautical industry? Of course, as it has been said by Shaun from PSP, there are more administrative procedures, the VAT issues and paperwork. It may discourage some businesses, but British Marine provides help with this matter. And I know that British Marine has issued many guidelines to help the British companies with this matter. Then there is a free trade and cooperation agreement between UK and EU. So, but products must be able to prove that they meet the requirements of rules of origin. So it could be a complicated process to go through. And again, I know that British Marine has published guidelines for that, but this is something that you have to do, and it's very important. Of course, since the beginning of the year, shipping delays have been reported by French dealers, the French dealers who used to order from British companies. But this is mainly the consequence of a poor preparation, and it should be improved with a little practice. To avoid shortage conditions, one solution could be, of course, to increase the stocks of available products on the European continent, of course, to mitigate the effects of shipping delays. The customs procedures for visiting yachts on both sides of the channel might hinder the traffic. So probably in the near future, I mean, of course, the COVID-19 is also a problem actually, but probably within a few months, we won't see so many boats coming to France from UK and reverse. And but I'm convinced that boaters will be very soon familiarized with these policies, because it's pretty easy to comply with the policies. And this is the role of the Yacht Harbour Association, as well as the role of yacht clubs and marina networks, to foster the keeping of long-standing relations. So I mean that all these yacht clubs and associations have to help and support the boaters with these new regulations, because it's pretty easy to comply with on both sides, I would say. This is true in UK, but this is true in France too, with the customs papers. Of course, what is more difficult is the situation of boats owned by British owners or registered in UK, in circulation within EU, excuse me. But this question has been clarified by a common work carried out by ICOMIA, European Boating Industry, European Boating Association, the RYA, and British Marine. And eight different scenarios have been built. So you have to see British Marine, because you have 8 different specific cases for that. What I would say is, of course, the Brexit is not easing the things, but I think that the reputation of the British marine industry is so strong that all these challenges will be overcome. I am convinced on that. And of course, after a couple of months, new habits, new ways of working are going to arise. And I'm pretty sure that the Brexit effects will be mitigated. So thank you for your attention. Now I welcome your questions.
That was really awesome. Thank you ever so much. I really enjoyed listening to that, John. That was great. I thought it was quite comprehensive, actually, and was very interested to hear about the prejudice against people in the south of France. I was quite surprised by that, but it did make me giggle, which is a shocking admission. So, but it sounds like it's very busy there, innovative, and lots of opportunity. I have a quick question just off the cuff while everybody else gets theirs into the chat function, and that's how do UK businesses get coverage in French magazines and websites? Do you have any advice for that?
We have a few. You have a website. You have one or two websites in France dedicated to trade people, and we have there is one version in English. It's a boating industry, I think, or boat industry. I don't remind exactly. But no, communication is pretty easy if you send press releases to these websites. Of course, there is a good communication about all the issues regarding the Brexit, and of course also product communication.
Awesome, thank you. So one of the questions which has come in was about the different regions and whether you feel that it's necessary to have a different agent in each of those regions, or whether one agent is sufficient.
No, what I said is, of course, if you deal, the people in the Med, you have a different way of life, and sometimes, and of course, different products, because the conditions of sailing are not the same. So if you try to say, if you try to sell products dedicated to the Med, of course to the West, of course it won't be the good situation. But it's important to have someone who's based in the north of France. If you want to deal with people, I would say, on the north part of France, on the Atlantic side, it's much more important because of the reputation. South of France, it's another country with other habits, and of course, it's possible to find examples to prove that I'm not right. But in most of the cases, this is my suggestion.
Awesome, good. Okay, and your next question is, are there any marine trade shows events in France that you think it is best to do business at, or is it best to go to, is it best to visit French companies at Metz? You know, what's the balance of that kind of personal one-on-one approach?
Of course, it's good to visit the French companies in Metz, but not all the companies are coming to Metz. Of course, you have the many companies producing goods which are exhibiting at Metz. But of course, in Metz, you have the buyers and from the main companies going to the Metz. Otherwise, I think it's better to, of course, to first get in touch with the companies in France, and then have an appointment during the main boat shows in La Rochelle or in Paris, because even if these shows are public boat shows, usually you have a day for trade, or a so-called, I would say, a red carpet day, and where you have less people, and it's easier to take time to have professional appointments.
Awesome, thank you. So you're going to have to forgive my pronunciation probably here. We hear a lot about the sailing valley from various people in the UK. Is the entire French marine industry slowly migrating to the Lorient?
As I said, you have, of course, different sites in France where most of the activity gathers. This is, if I compare with UK, most of the activity is based around Southampton and Portsmouth in the Solent area. In France, we have, of course, Lorient and south of Brittany, which is famous for innovation and especially the offshore races teams. And as I said in my presentation, most of the research and development, the new flying boats with foils, new composite techniques, and everything has been invented or developed in the Sailing Valley in the south of Brittany. And of course, it drives many companies to be based in this part of France. Otherwise, we also have La Rochelle and the region of La Rochelle and the north of La Rochelle in Vendée, where we have the main production, serial boats production boat yards. And the third main spot is based is located around Antibes and Cannes, where there is the super yacht industry with many refit yards in this part of the French Riviera.
Awesome. Awesome. And in terms of the attendance at these races and the kind of the mass coverage of the performance racing teams, I mean, it's just incredible. What is it that really built that up for the French public?
Excuse me?
So what do you think it was that really kind of, so you have the Tour de France with cycling, obviously, which is, yeah, but what was it that kind of really built up the interest in sailing for the French public?
I think that, of course, this is an adventure, and adventure is attracting a huge media coverage. But at the end, the most important is to show boating to the general public. And that's why then we have so many people who are very keen to discover boating when they are in holidays during the summer season on the seashore. And that's why we have so many occasional boating participants in France, because it is supported by such a fantastic media exposure.
Brilliant, thank you. So if anyone's got any more questions, just pop them in the chat function and then we can come to those. So Sean, what are your thoughts regarding everything that we've heard so far today?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was obviously everyone's going to try and make as business as normal as it was before Brexit and pandemics. And yeah, I mean, my experience in France is that you need to have good partners. And this introduction by John is a good way of finding new partners, I think, for British manufacturers, suppliers, etc., and vice versa. I mean, we've experienced what the problems are with Brexit, and we have a good partner in Nice that's helping the French side with customs clearances and the new requirements. And PSP have gone through, we could see what was happening some time ago with this, and we've experienced and trained all our staff to deal with the customs elements for the problems going forward. So I think we've seen, it's interesting because we're a company that probably half the people there wanted Brexit and the other half probably didn't. And but one way or the other, there are ways to get through the problems, and the important thing is to do your research and make sure that you do it right. And already can see windows of opportunities for people, and we can see business growing already.
Awesome, awesome. Somebody's raised their hand. So Joko, did you want to ask a question? I think, hello? No? No? Okay, so do we have any more questions for either of these chaps at the minute? No? All right then. Well, I'm going to say thank you so much. That has been so much information that we'll need to take away and digest and think about. So what we'll do, as I said, is we've recorded the session and it will be going on Min's channels at some point, kind of hopefully within the next week. And there'll be contact details there for both Sean and John. So if anyone wants to get in touch with them directly, that option will be there. We've got some more export seminars coming up, export insight seminars coming up, one for the USA and one for the UAE. So keep an eye on Min for more details on that. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for all that information that we've got today. I think that's been really, really fascinating and insightful and given us lots of food for thought. And thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks again for inviting me and to Marine Industry News and PSP.
Thank you.
Thank you.